feel very called to become a member of the Catholic Church.
Love the Catholic Church. It's just the best place to be.
From the studios of EWTN, this is Open Line. In North America, call toll-free 1-800-585-9396. That's 1-800-585-9396. Outside North America, call 1-205-271-2985. You can also send an email to openline@ewtn.com.
Hey, tremendous Tuesday to each and every one of you. We are grateful that you have taken a little time out of your Tuesday to join us here on EWTN's Open Line. We talked the life issues on Tuesday. Our very own pro-life warrior, Barbara McGuigan, is in the house. If you'd like to talk to Barbara, the number's 1-800-585-9396. Toll-free anywhere in North America, 1-800-585-9396. If you're outside the United States and Canada, your number is 1-205-271-2985. And we'll put you straight to the front of the line at 1-205-271-2985. If you would like to send us an email, that's openline@ewtn.com. Or you can text your question to Barbara. She is a 21st century kind of pro-life warrior. You can text the letters EWTN to 55000. Wait for a response. Text your first name and your question, message, and data rates may apply. Michael McCall doing double duty today. He is producing the program and taking care of our social media endeavors. Matt Gubensky screening your phone calls, and alongside our very own pro-life warrior, Barbara McGuigan, I am merely Jack Williams.
Oh, but you're not.
Well, but I am.
But you're not merely. You're not merely. Well, tell me this, Jack. What is the 21st century pro-lifer all about?
She's tiny.
Oh,
She's a platinum blonde, and she has demon skull all over her pumps.
Oh my goodness!
That's what a 21st century pro-life warrior looks like. How's that?
God help us.
Does that resemble anybody you know?
Not me, but
well, I kind of think it does, but that's just me. So speaking of pro-life warrioring,
yes,
40 Days for Life is one of the greatest initiatives that the laity and Holy Mother Church have undertaken in recent memory. David B. Wright and that whole crew.
Yes,
I'm not sure he's actually involved anymore, but he may have moved on to something else. But at any rate, the movement continues to grow strong, and I think you received an email not too long ago regarding some save situations that were a result of 40 Days for Life.
Yes. 112 babies were saved. This is what the last count that I had on October 9th. So we're, a week or so away from that. So they probably have more babies saved that we know of. But I received an email from a lovely lady, Marilyn, and she just said, we're here in Nashville celebrating our 10th anniversary of 40 Days for Life, Peaceful Prayer for Vigils. And we've had many women choose life over the years, she said, but our two abortion centers, Planned Parenthood and Women's Center, are still actively killing babies. And she just noted how important it is for all of us to continue to pray for this, for them, all these people that are out on the streets. And what I learned this morning, Jack, is there are more 40 Days for Life campaigns in California than any other state.
Well, look at you.
Well, yeah, go on with your bad self, right? The campaign is strong on the entire west coast of North America. So there you go. And what I just want to encourage people, it's never too late to go out there and stand with these great folks and pray. And people need to remember, we don't, by God's grace, just save a baby from certain death.
That's right.
We save the mother from a potential spiritual suicide. We save the father, who will surely need to stand before God like the rest of us to give an account, right, for our decisions in life. And for every generation who will issue from this one baby. So this is not a small thing, my brothers and sisters, and I know our listeners know that for a fact. But I just wanted to bring that up because it's important to keep that in your mind.
Every pregnancy has eternal consequences, right?
That's it. That's it, and it's so important. And
really, pregnancy or not, any sexual encounter has eternal consequences.
Oh, that's for sure. And that one's coming up soon. Yes?
Yeah.
Can't wait.
So anyway, it doesn't seem a week can go by without some kind of goofy legislation coming out of your home there in California.
Oh, boy.
And yeah,
Jack,
well,
this gives me the creeps so much that I just get chills when I talk about it, because the governor here, Governor Jerry Brown, I know people who call him Governor Moonbeam Brown, he just signed yesterday or the day before. He had to have it signed by the 15th, so today's what, the 17th, so the 15th. He signed AB 567 to allow the new process of liquid cremation to dispose of bodies. Are you familiar with that, Jack?
I wasn't until you sent me the email.
Honestly, I never
Sounds like something
equated...
out of a mafia movie.
You know, it is creepy. I never equated death with climate change, but hold on to your carbon footprint, because there's a mortician in Los Angeles who said that people think that cremation is really what people hold up as the environmentally friendly option. It's all about the environment, Jack. It's better, she said, than the whole rigmarole of formaldehyde and chemicals and big caskets that go into the more traditional funeral industry. But she said it still releases mercury into the air, and it uses a whole ton of natural gas. I thought to myself, just like the jets that Al Gore and all the Hollywood buddies run around in, right? I mean, they say his house uses more of a carbon footprint than 20 times more than most of the people in the whole United States. Anyway, they call it alkaline hydrolysis. I wanted to know exactly how this happens. Basically, the body is dissolved in a hot chemical bath, and it leaves a sterile solution that can be flushed down the drain, Jack. They even say this. So the carbon footprint of this process is just a quarter of traditional fire cremation, because it uses so much less energy, and only a sixth of a burial, because it doesn't require the materials for concrete headstones, mahogany caskets, or the chemicals used in embalming. That's their mindset. That is how they reason this out, believe it or not. So, but see, we can't honor that. In the California Catholic Conference of Bishops here, no way. This is, the body is sacred. You don't liquefy a body, and then what they do is, because the bones don't liquefy, right? Or if you had a knee transplant or a hip or whatever, those parts, those metal parts, they just flip out the door, I guess. But the bones will be pulverized into a white powder that can be placed in an urn. They want to make people happy by still being able to place things in an urn. But the Catholic Conference says, wait a minute. I mean, why really did part of Grandma go to the waste treatment plant? This is it. He says water cremation isn't inherently wrong, okay, but it also doesn't treat life or death with dignity and respect. And he signed it into law. It's all about your carbon footprint, Jack. That's what it's all about. And so when I was studying this,
in the minds of some.
In the minds of some, but this is what they're thinking about out here. 14 states already have this. Now, I get it for animals or things like that. They don't have human souls, right? Their bodies are not sacred.
Immortal souls, yes.
Immortal souls, that's it. But they have animal souls, that's for sure. But you can actually go to the EPA's website and you can figure out what your carbon footprint is. And
that's run by the government, right?
Well, sure it is.
It's interesting because I had this weekend, I had visiting a friend and had a wonderful opportunity to go to a cemetery and to, the sacredness of human life, if you're in tune with what's really going on, is so present in those moments. And there's such a grace and such a spirituality associated with the proper handling of such matters. And the sacredness of human life really comes to the fore in those situations. And, look, some of us, once we have left this life, are going to need all the prayers of all the people we can get our hands on. Yeah. And what a more dignified and beautiful opportunity to pray for those folks than to have them in a place where you can get to them. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. It's so true. It is so true, Jack. And this is just getting so out of hand, especially, I guess, in some states more than others, certainly in California. But, I wish they would talk about their emotional footprint. What's their emotional footprint? I'm serious. A while ago, I read this great article about your emotional footprint because, the carbon footprint is all about what car you drive, how much electricity you use, how many miles do you fly. This is all part of your carbon footprint. But look at just how people are when they have, the question is, how often do I make the world around me revolve around me, you know? So it really, oh my goodness.
Often. We're just getting started on an open line Tuesday. 1-800-585-9396 is our toll-free number, 1-800-585-9396. Open line Tuesday with our pro-life warrior, Barbara McGuigan.
This is Janet Benkovic, host of Women of Grace.
Hello, this is Cardinal Donald Wuerl of the Archdiocese of Washington.
This is Gloria Purvis, host of Morning Glory. Thanks for listening to the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Encounter with Dan Demete and Patrick Rice is our new radio show for young adults.
The Holy Spirit is about a new and exciting work in the young church of today. On Encounter, we bring young adults the life-changing testimonies of ordinary people that launch them into lives of extraordinary mission. Their testimonies bring faith and power into the lives of everyone who listens.
Encounter with Dan Demete and Patrick Rice. The Spiritual Awakening continues Saturday night, 8 Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Podcasting is an easy way to automatically receive your favorite EWTN programs on your mobile device. Visit EWTN.com/podcast and enjoy your favorite EWTN shows on your mobile phone right now.
Christ is the answer with Father John Riccardo.
John, chapter 8, verse 51. Jesus is in a discussion with some of the leaders of the Jews. They're talking about Abraham. Abraham lived 1,500 years before the time of Jesus. So in the course of the discussion, Jesus says, "Truly, truly, I say to you, if anyone keeps my word, he will never see death." He says that often in the Gospels. "He who keeps my word or believes in me will never die." To which the Jews say, "Now we know you have a demon." And they say, "Abraham died, as did the prophets. All the patriarchs, the great men and women of the history of Israel. All these people died, and you say, if anyone keeps my word, he will never taste death? Are you greater than our father Abraham, who died? And the prophets who died?" And Jesus says, "Your father Abraham rejoiced that he was to see my day. He saw it and was glad." To which the Jews say, "You are not yet 50 years old, and you've seen Abraham?" And Jesus answers, "Truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am."
This is Open Line on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. If you have a question or comment, call 1-800-585-9396. Outside North America, call 1-205-271-2985 or send an email to openline@ewtn.com.
To the phones we go. 1-800-585-9396 is our toll-free number. Our leadoff hitter today is Mary. She's in Minot, North Dakota, listening on Real Presence Radio. Mary, you're on with Barbara McGuigan.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, how are you today?
Fine, thank you. Thanks for waiting. How can we help?
Well, I just wanted to make a comment that last night I was watching a mainstream network show, and a woman came to this hospital, 20-some weeks pregnant. Her baby had a non-cancerous tumor on its spine that was about half the size of the baby. And she came to that hospital because she knew the surgeon could remove the tumor. she had some health conditions that no one really wanted to put her under for a long surgery because they were afraid she'd have a heart attack or a stroke or something.
Right.
And she insisted that she would rather die than abort the baby.
Wow.
So they decided to do the surgery. The first surgery, she ended up having a heart attack. So they didn't remove the tumor. But the mother still said, I don't care. I need another surgery. So they knew that since she refused to abort, that the baby would die, they would both die. So they went through with the second surgery. Removed, so they showed the baby laying on the mother's abdomen while they were doing the surgery. And then as he finished, he said, oh, now we can put the baby back in. And the resident surgeon said, do you realize that's the first time you've called it a baby? Because he'd been calling it a fetus the whole time.
Oh,
so it just gave me hope that they actually showed such a life-affirming that there are other things to do besides the easy way.
That's unusual to see. You know, oh, goodness. Sometimes the truth comes through, and it's so bright. The light is so bright when it happens. You're mesmerized that it's happening. But, boy, that sounds like it was a good episode. So, really, the bottom line was, here was a mother who was willing to sacrifice her life for her child, basically, right? But they both lived? Yes? Oh, boy.
Yeah, at the end of the show, they said that the prognosis for both was excellent.
So was that like a true story? They were just kind of,
No, it was just one of the network series.
Oh, I see.
So.
Okay. Well, great, Mary. Thanks for calling in with that. That is wonderful. And so, are you involved at all with 40 Days in Minot?
Well, we're fortunate. We only have one abortion clinic, and that's in Fargo. So,
aren't you fortunate? And that's the truth too. You remind me of that, and that's right. Yes. Wow.
And there's a few years that we take some of the teenagers down in front during 40 days, but most of the time it's just prayer and fasting.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you are wonderful, and I'm just happy to be standing shoulder to shoulder with you. God bless you, dear heart. Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
God bless you, Mary. Appreciate the phone call. That opens up a line for you at 1-800-585-9396. Next up is Deborah. She's in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, listening on Oklahoma Catholic Broadcasting. Deborah, you're on with Barbara McGuigan.
Hi, Deborah.
Hello.
Hi.
I have a question. It may have a couple of different parts to it. But I am Catholic, and I have participated, and we just finished doing a weekend of obligation. Our parish did at a local abortion clinic for 40 Days for Life.
Wonderful.
And I also support birth choice and things like that. But my problem is I've gotten somewhere along the road on all these lists for all these different pro-life organizations that keep mailing me questionnaires and surveys. And a lot of times it looks like it's the same exact questionnaire and survey. And, of course, they all want money. But my first question is, it almost seems like it's kind of self-defeating, and we almost need like one big charity, maybe Unplanned Parenthood or Parenthood Unplanned, to go after Planned Parenthood, where we can, we know what we're giving to, and that charity, because some of these are look kind of questionable to me, some of these charities, and I don't know if I trust them to send my money to, but what are your feelings on that?
Well, I think it's safe to say you can trust a pro-life organization. I really do. It's It's the same thing. You have a lot of different personalities, a lot of different ideas as to how they want to proceed within the pro-life movement. So a gigantic umbrella pro-life agency. If you ask me, Human Life International used to be kind of that. I mean, Judy Brown was doing a great job too with American Life League, but Human Life International was all over the world as well, and it really did ground you. I mean, I felt grounded. I think anyone else who I worked for them, but I mean anyone else who belonged to that organization and supported it and came to our banquets and our conferences. It did seem to do that. But like I say, just like everything else, you've got people with different ideas about how to go about it, as long as we all have the same goal. And so you pick one or two that you want to support on your own. You know, you don't have to support all of them, but you pick the ones whom you believe are really doing the best job. And, I mean, they're all doing their best. Let me put it that way. But, you know, you might have an affinity to, you know, like I had an affinity to HLI because I loved the fact that it was global and that, you know, I could meet all these excellent people. Teenagers, people are the same wherever you go. Trust me. You know, they have the same problems, the same trials and tribs. I mean, the whole thing. So I don't know if that's a satisfactory answer, Deborah, but that's pretty much all I can think of. Jack, you jump in on this? What do you think?
I don't know that I have anything to add.
Okay. So, Deborah, are you all right with that?
Yes. Thank you.
You know,
Good.
there is,
God
you know, and
bless
Deborah, what you might do too is you might look into, if you go to stop.org, S-T-O-P-P .org, that's Jim Sedlak's group, their sole mission is to stop Planned Parenthood. As opposed to attacking the pro-life issue as a whole, their mission is to stop Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
And it's a great group. You may look them up. It's STOPP.org.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Jack, because that is, I know Jim well, and he has been fighting this fight for a long time, and he's done great work, absolutely great work. So, good.
Next up for us is Bob. He is in Lexington, Kentucky, listening to EWTN on Sirius XM Channel 130, and Bob is now gone, so we'll go to Kathleen. She is in Point Pleasant, New Jersey. She's listening online today. Kathleen, you're on with Barbara McGuigan.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hi. Sorry, I thought you were going to ask for somebody else. Anyway, my question is, how many states allow partial birth abortion? My daughter is 17, very pro-life. She's in a very pro-choice environment in high school. Mm-hmm. And she's under the impression that they really limit abortions to early in pregnancy. And I didn't have the facts, and I wanted to be very clear with her, just so that she could be informed and not, well. Anyway, what do you got?
It's a great question, and I'm sure it's a good rationalization of abortion is what it really is, because it doesn't matter if that child was absolutely just conceived. Maybe this child hasn't even made its way down the fallopian tube, which takes 7 to 9 days, where once the sperm meets the egg, usually in a fallopian tube, it goes and travels down 7 to 9 days and implants into the endometrium, and there it begins, meets its food source. And even at that stage, life has begun. The spark has sparked. Even at that stage, life is sacred from the moment of conception. So to say, the baby is being, done away with in the first trimester, you are still flattening that kid's heartbeat. Right? 18 to 24 days after conception. I think they even have it down to like 15 days. After conception, when the heart begins to beat. Now, hey, the mother can't feel the heart beating, and now they do have certain forms of ultrasound where they can get a heartbeat that early, but, God knows that heartbeat's there, and that's all that matters. It all comes back to God as the creator of us all. It all comes back to Him who, there's not one person's DNA, Kathleen, that is the same as the next person. Out of all the billions of people that have been created since the world began, not one person had the same DNA. Just like, think of all the billions of snowflakes. No two snowflakes are alike. I got chills, maybe, because I'm talking about snowflakes. I don't know, Jack. But the whole thing is, God is the creator of all life. And if we think that at any stage it's permissible to kill that newly conceived life, no way. That's the bottom line, Kathleen. Does that make sense to you? Oops. Did we lose her?
Kathleen, are you there?
Okay, well, I guess maybe she had all she needed to have. I don't know.
She may very well have, but that does open up a line for you. We'd love to hear from you, talking the life issues as we do every single Tuesday on an Open Line Tuesday. The number to be on the program, 1-800-585-9396, toll free anywhere in North America, 1-800-585-9396. If you're outside the United States and Canada, human life is still sacred wherever you are. Your number is 1-205-271-2985. And we'll put you straight to the front of the line at 1-205-271-2985. You can send us an email, openline@EWTN.com. You can even text your question to Barbara. Text the letters EWTN to 55000. Wait for a response. Text your first name and your question. Message and data rates may apply. EWTN's Open Line Tuesday with our very own Barbara McGuigan.
Raymond Arroyo.
Part of the success we've had on the world over, I attribute to the audience, my relationship with Mother Angelica, and her teaching me that when you sit with someone, you talk to them, and you create an environment where they will tell you things they wouldn't tell anyone else. That ease, that humor, that warmth, she gave me that, and that's what I try to impart and make a part of every interview we do on The World Over.
The World Over with Raymond Arroyo, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern on EWTN TV and radio.
The ongoing connection between media violence and its impact on children. Hi, I'm Teresa Tomeo, host of Catholic Connection, with another Media Minute. The Cleveland Clinic is looking at whether gun violence on the silver screen triggers gun violence in children. Dr. Kate Eshelman is a pediatric psychologist at Cleveland Clinic Children's.
It's very important for parents to be aware of what their kids are being exposed to. So knowing the games that they're playing and the movies that they're watching and being aware of what the characters in those films are doing so that parents can start the conversation.
And the study looking at a group of over 100 children between the ages of 8 and 12 who watched a PG-rated movie clip. While one group watched the clip that had gun violence edited out, the other watched one with violence. The children were then taken into a room with toys and a real gun that was unloaded. The study finding the kids who watched the gun violence more likely to handle the weapon and pull the trigger. I'm Teresa Tomeo with another Media Minute on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Catholic radio, I believe, is the greatest tool for evangelization that the church has today. And I know this because we hear from people all over the world that tell us all the time they came to faith in Christ, in the Catholic Church, through Catholic radio. Guy that lives right next door to you, he might not ask you about your Catholic faith, but he'll ask us. He'll call in and say, tell me about the Catholic Church.
Dr. David Anders thinks Catholic radio is important. So should you.
This is Open Line on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. If you have a question or comment, call 1-800-585-9396. Outside North America, call 1-205-271-2985 or send an email to openline@EWTN.com.
That's right. The number's 1-800-585-9396. Toll free anywhere in North America, 1-800-585-9396. 9396. That's the number Betty used. She's in Sydney, Montana, listening to EWTN Radio. Betty, you're on with Barbara McGuigan.
Hi, Betty.
Hello. I'm a grandma, and a couple of real concerns I have. Just a quick comment about the abortions. Yes. Years ago, I know of a case, rumors that anyway, that this girl had committed had an abortion. Mm-hmm. The problem is a woman who is active in the right to life, as a result of this, she would not have anything to do with that girl or her family the rest of her life. It seems to me there has to be let go of that and
yes,
forgive.
Oh, you are so right, Betty.
To hold the whole family forever, for that.
You're so right. You hit the nail on the head. You see, it's not up to us to condemn or to judge another human being. God is the judge. we must judge actions, which is why we judge abortion as an abomination unto the Lord, for Pete's sake. We know that. We must judge actions, and that's why we have laws to judge actions. But we never judge a person's heart or a person's motives, because we've never walked in their moccasins, as they say, right, Betty? You know, you got to walk in their shoes before you understand. And just in my own experience of counseling many, many young women, and some older as well, fear was a major part of their decision to abort their baby. Fear, and I would say ignorance of the facts as well. They had no idea, and of course, depending on whom they talked to before they walked into the abortion clinic, and is saying that there was no one maybe out there, which is why 40 Days for Life is so important. Sidewalk counseling is so important. Before you reach them before they get into the killing center, right? The fear and ignorance. They didn't know fetal development facts. They didn't know their baby's heart was beating at 14 days after conception. They didn't understand that they had a real life. They thought it was tissue. Canada, one time I was reading in their paper, tissue adhering to the uterine wall. Really? What kind of tissue? A tissue with a heartbeat? Let's face it, right? So you can't judge another human being and how they suffer. Oh, my goodness, how they suffer. After the abortion, see, that's the devil. He's all about death. He's saying, oh, you can't take care of this child. You need to get rid of this. You need to go to the abortion clinic. It's just tissue adhering to the uterine wall. You're going to be fine after it's over. And then when it's over, ooh, you are scum. You are really awful. That's the devil talking to this poor soul. And they need God's healing, love, and forgiveness. And that's what the pro-life movement is all about. Bringing that healing, love, and forgiveness to anyone who's involved in an abortion. To the fathers, too. They suffer as well. So you're right. Forgiveness. It's all about forgiveness. And, you know, like I say, if you don't reach these mothers, sometimes they stay away. It's a spiritual suicide for them. Sometimes they feel that God could never forgive them. How many times I've heard that over and over again. And I always would reply, you're denying God his most beautiful quality, mercy. He loves you. He created you. From the womb, he loved you. So, yes, Betty, you are spot on, and you can't blame anyone. You can if you want, but that's not your position, and that's what a lot of people do. Okay?
I think important point.
Yes.
You hear these ads now where if you're considering suicide, you call those lines. But
yes.
I am finding that the attitude people have is that the reason these young people so many times are committing suicide is because they're homosexual. Now, I have the American Medical Association encyclopedia, and I have another medical book, and they are finding that 3 to 5% of babies are born with the wrong amount of chromosomes. They are born with these feelings, and therefore they cannot be talked out of it. If the people who are counseling these young people would accept that instead of trying to put them down, I think if everybody putting them down is the reason for the suicides, and they can't help it. Now, 3 to 5%, that's, 3 out of 100 or 5 out of 100.
Yeah, well, certainly, Barbara, I think you would agree that everyone, regardless of what their situation is, should be treated with the utmost dignity as a human person, right?
And that's what our church always says, there's no discrimination. in their regard, for homosexuals as well. But I also do know some of the psychiatrists and psychologists who treat those who want to change. They want to change their lifestyle. Sometime, anytime, any one of us who is in a lifestyle that involves a very serious sin, maybe we don't see it as serious sin, but any one of us, somebody who constantly is being unfaithful to her husband or to his wife, for example, you're not happy. You're not happy. So a lot of people have a lot of reasons for taking their own lives, and it's so sad. But then, once again, back to God. He knows our hearts. He knows our motives. He knows everything, every need we have before we even ask. So we go back to Him, and we want to bring life-giving love to these people. And this is why we have to evangelize, right? Wouldn't you agree, Betty? They need to know that certain lifestyles, any lifestyle that involves mortal sin, is not going to make you happy. It's going to make you isolated and lost. So there are lots of things that we could discuss here right now, but we've got about three other callers on the line. So is that okay, Betty, if I let you go, dear heart? Oops.
1-800-585-9396 is our toll-free number, 1-800-585-9396. Next up is John in New York City, listening on Sirius XM Channel 130. John, you're on with Barbara McGuigan.
Hey, John, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How can we help?
I just want to bring up the Harvey Weinstein story.
Oh, goodness.
It was well known, or was the worst kept secret in Hollywood in those areas of people in the know.
I disagree with that, John. I totally disagree that it was the best kept secret. Everyone knew what was going on.
No, he said it was the worst kept secret.
The worst kept. Okay, sorry, I misunderstood. Sorry.
That being said, Planned Parenthood put out a tweet on October 10th.
Yeah.
And in that tweet, it stated, "We believe sexual assault survivors deserve support, to be treated with dignity and respect, and to be believed." And then they went on to say, "From aggressive overtures to sexual assault, Harvey Weinstein's accusers tell their stories." It's a story, basically, what I just addressed.
Yes.
But it's amazing how, or probably it's not amazing how, Planned Parenthood accepted a $100,000 donation from Weinstein at their Planned Parenthood gala last May. And I'm just so sick of how there's such hypocrites and everything to that effect. And just the second point is, again, and it's well known and documented by Lila Rose how they covered up statutory rape. So I'm just going to hang up and, if you'd like you to address that, please.
Oh, listen, John, but you don't need to hang up. I mean, it's all about the money as far as Planned Parenthood's concerned. But this is what really jarred my apple butter. This is something my mom always told us to say. When I see certain movie stars, and now we've got, I don't know how many it's up to now, 35, 40, I don't know how many have come out of the woodwork to say that they had been, assaulted by this man. And then they stand up there at the microphone when they have a women's march. And they're so proud and puffed up. And they just say that, we are nasty, right? With this whole nasty business that women are nasty. And I'm thinking to myself, here you have these hardcore radical feminists. And they were assaulted by this man and others, no doubt, to get their careers to the position where they got their careers. And they didn't report any of this. Doesn't that make you a little bit nuts to think, we're nasty, right? Nasty, but not when it involves your career or money. And that's why, and I know they'll say, we would be ruined in Hollywood and it was too emotional and all this. Come on. If you really believe, like Gloria Steinem would say, women need men like fish need a bicycle, the first thing you would do is call 911 or get to the police department or a hospital or wherever you need to go. It is just completely psychologically just off the rails, these people. And that's what gets me the most. That's what gets me the most. So, John, thanks for your call. I mean, you got me on a roll here, but I mean, really, it has driven me just nuts that they would not even report such an abomination as something like that.
We'll head next to the desert. Rick is in Glendale, Arizona. He's listening at EWTN.com. Rick, you're on with Barbara McGuigan.
Hi, Rick.
Hello. I'm so glad you're back.
I know.
For more reasons than one.
Oh, God love you. Last week it was the internet.
Her internet connection was aborted last week.
Yeah, right.
Oh, no. Okay.
That was it,
well,
yes.
Be careful in the use of that word, I guess, is what I was told in my high school catechist class that I teach. I'm a high school catechist
wonderful.
And that's one of the things that I want to talk to you about is this one girl got a little sensitive when we were talking about abortion, and she asked me, can you please use a different word for that? And, of course, well, a woman helps me teach the class, so she addressed it while I was talking to somebody else, and, of course, that's the problem. You know, I don't want to come off as insensitive, but we can't. I mean, abortion already is a prettied up word to what it is. You know, murder. It's a murder of an unborn child.
Yep.
I didn't get a chance to talk to her about that, but also, and I'd like you to address that, and I would also like you to address. We went through the examination of conscience last week, and these are 14 through 17-year-olds, and haven't hardly been catechized at home at all, which no big surprise there. And it's their first year; it's their reconciliation year. Yes. And the person who helps me teach, she brought up that, you know, that artificial contraception is against the teachings of the church.
Sure.
And, of course, half the girls, their jaws just dropped. You know, their mouths just dropped wide open. And I told them why, because God is the author of life and not us.
Yes.
But I also want to offer them a solution to that. And I know that you have spoken before about, you know, going to a doctor who's a practicing Catholic and that they have like vitamins or herbs or something that they could use to regulate their menstrual cycles.
Well, that's Dr. Kalenborn, and yes, they do. This is for if they have terrible cramps and things like that. But as far as alternatives to using birth control, first of all, the best one is purity, right? To be pure in your mind, heart, and body. I mean, this is chastity is something they need to be taught from the get-go, from junior high on, I would say. Junior high on. I was always the most comfortable with 8th graders on up, but because of the culture today and the TV shows that these kids are watching, I would say I would bring it down to 7th grade now because they are just so programmed by this culture. It is sad. It is, it's such a sin-sick world that they are invited into. The devil loves it. But if you're going to talk to them, you can say that natural methods of family planning, right, between a husband and a wife, if you have a serious reason to abstain from the Marriage Act, you're not trying to separate life from love artificially or chemically or surgically, but you're just abstaining from the Marriage Act, then God has a perfect plan for that, and that would be the different methods of natural family planning. Does that make sense, Rick?
Well, oh no, believe me, I'm promoting chastity. I'm saying that it's called the Marital Act because you're supposed to be married to do it. What I meant was something, because you know how doctors will put girls on birth control pills to regulate their cycles.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm talking about, because I told them, if you're on it to regulate your cycle, there are other methods, not for contraception, but for that reason.
Right. But you know what?
And I don't know where to find those, you know.
Well, Dr. Kalenborn would be one place to go, but also let's see, Dr. Kallenborn and Mystical Rose. Okay, that would be Dr. Teresa Stegan. You can just put in their names and you will be able to pull this up. But Dr. Kallenborn was the one. See, my office is still not put together yet since the move, so I can't just pull up what I would pull up for you on Dr. Kallenborn. But you can also email me, and I will find the information for you. But, yeah, it's important to know. And see, so many doctors are getting around that by saying, you know, the girls have their skin breaking out, as a lot of teenagers do sometimes. And they'll say, oh, well, if we give you birth control pills, then, you know, your skin will be pretty once again. Oh, good night, nurse. Pro-lifers, anybody worth their salt will not put a kid on a birth control pill, because you will still, even if you have no intentions of taking part in sex outside of marriage, the pill is still not good for your body. Period. So that's an important thing. Also, if you go to abortionbreastcancer.org, that is Dr. Angela Lanfranchi and Dr. Joel Brind, Brind, and just put in Dr. Angela Lanfranchi, Lanfranchi. I think their website now is abortionbirthcontrol.org or .com, one or the other. And they give you all the side effects of birth control pills. Even if you weren't even taking it to control births, right? Even if it was for your skin or for cramps, right? It's still not good at all for you. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
God bless you, and thank you for what you do, Rick. I'm praising God for you and people just like you that are in those schools, and you're speaking the truth. You are speaking the truth. This is what's important.
God bless you, Rick. We appreciate the phone call. Still time to hear from you at 1-800-585-9396. Karen's in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, listening to EWTN Radio. Karen, you're on with Barbara McGuigan.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How about you, dear heart?
I am good, thank you. It's so funny. I listen to a lot of the earlier shows usually, and I very seldom hear you. I was coming back from a doctor's appointment and heard you, and I just had to call you and tell you I am post-abortion, and it took me 30 years to understand that God forgave me for that, and it is so incredible. I am now pro-life, and I go pray. I am the pro-life coordinator of our parish, and I go pray all the time. And I have helped one person in particular who stopped when I was praying one day and said, "What do you think you're doing? Do you think you can possibly? You don't know what it's like to have a baby that's." And I explained to her. I said, "Yes, I do, because I have been through it." And she completely stopped and looked at me, and I didn't yell, I didn't scream. I just said, "I will pray for you, and please keep that baby," because what happened with me after I finally got forgiven, my husband and I went for counseling. I got pregnant, and I miscarried. Then I knew God hated me. And then my son got married. I have 2 children. My son got married, got with their first grandchild, and that she miscarried. And then I knew God would never forgive me. But it took me, and all of a sudden, it came to me one time when I was counseling with my priest that He did forgive me, and I am now silent no more. And I was so afraid to even tell people about this. But God is incredible, and He can forgive.
And He does. And He wants to. I mean, He knows all of us. We're all broken. We're all wretches. You've probably heard me say that, every last one of us. We are all capable of the most base acts without God's grace. But with it, nothing's impossible. Nothing good is impossible for us with God's grace. See, and your testimony, Karen, is vitally important. You can save more babies and mothers and fathers than I could even dream of saving, because you have been there, you have suffered, you have lived all those years feeling unloved and unforgiven.
Yes.
And that's not the way God wants you. He wants you right there with Him. And I'm so thankful. So you went to a Silent No More retreat or something, I bet, right?
Yes, I did. And I gave my first testimony, like I said, and I was a little nervous.
Sure.
But I prayed, and because, like I said, when I was just afraid to tell people. And it was just incredible afterwards. And then so many people came up to me afterwards, and then I went to a couple other parishes, and some people came to me afterwards and said, "Oh my gosh, I've been through the same thing. How can I be forgiven?" And I said, "You will. God loves you so much. He loves you."
And then our Holy Father, Pope St. John Paul II, said, "You, mothers who have aborted, you have become now the most eloquent defenders of human life." That's how God, you've probably heard me say this before, but that's how he takes a bloody crucifixion and turns it into a clean, healthy scar. The scar's still there because we don't deny what happens, right? Yeah. Yeah.
To my dying breath. And I pray for those babies. I go to Mass every morning. I'm retired, and I'm a retired nurse. And I pray for those babies at Mass every day. And the evil one is the one that keeps coming in there and saying, how could you possibly be forgiven? You kill these things. You can't be forgiven ever. And that's not true.
Right. That's what he says.
We have to stand up.
Oh, boy. I am so thankful you called in, Karen, and God bless you for what you're doing now.
Thankful I got through. Thank you. God bless you, too. Thank you so much.
Keep listening on Tuesdays. Okay, on every day of the week we have open line for sure, but we talk pro-life on Tuesdays.
God bless you, Karen. We appreciate the phone call. Next stop, Peoria, Illinois. Jean is listening on St. Bernadette Radio. Jean, you're on with Barbara McGuigan.
Hi, Jean.
Hello. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. We have just a few minutes left.
Okay, very quickly, with the previous caller who had called to inquire about options for, he was talking about use of birth control pills.
Yes,
for
the
reasons
teacher.
Other than that, and you were talking about resources for options for cycle regulation.
Right.
And I did not hear Creighton Model of Natural Family Planning and naprotechnology mentioned. Naprotechnology developed by Dr. Tom Hilgers at the Paul Smith Institute.
And I'm so glad you called up with this, Jean, because we talk about that a lot, don't we, Jack? And it just was not in my mind at the moment, but naprotechnology. I gave out Dr. Teresa Stegen, and she is a trained naprotechnology doctor.
Yeah.
So, yes, thank you, Jean.
I actually went through the training back in 2008 and have done a little bit on the medical side of the naprotechnology. And I just want to emphasize that natural procreative technology is a health science for all of women's reproductive health, not just that associated with having babies.
And
it
you
will
are
help with things like regulating cycles, treating ovarian cysts, menstrual cramps, postpartum depression, menopause, all of it.
Oh, I'm so thankful you called in, Jean. God bless you, dear heart. I appreciate that so much. I'm going to have to let you go.
God bless you, Jean. We appreciate the phone call, Barbara. We have come to the end of another program.
Yes, we have.
Thank you so much for being so gracious with your time, and maybe you'll get unpacked before the next millennium.
Right back at you, Jack. I need help.
On behalf of our host, Barbara McGuigan, our producer and social media maven, Mr. Michael McCall, your call screener, Matt Gubensky, I'm Jack Williams. Thanks so much for taking a little time out of your day to join us on Open Line Tuesday. Back at it tomorrow. Father Mitch will be in the house talking all things Catholic Church. And then Thursday, Father Larry Richards talking the new evangelization. Colin Donovan, our Vice President of Theology, takes over on Friday. Until we get together with Father Mitch tomorrow, God bless.